Hello and welcome to my Blender to Unity go-kart tutorial, and in this part we'll import our modelled and textured go-kart into Unity. So let's get started. Alrighty, before we get into the nitty-gritty, one thing I wanted to show you was I have made a few additional tweaks I've been playing around with. I added some tyre treads to it. I'm happy to show you guys how to do this, but what I actually did was to create a fill layer on the wheels here called tread, and that paint layer can go there, that didn't work, called tread, and I added a normal map to it, which was basically let's see if I can find it. That's one here, 7331 normal. I had to play around a lot with the settings here in the excuse me, on that one, on the UV scale and offset and all this sort of stuff to get it right. But I got there in the end. I'm not totally happy with it, but it can be seen, and you can see that's a tread. The reason I did that was because when I got into Unity, which you'll see later on, it looks pretty rubbish if there's nothing to actually see there at all. So that was something I've added. The other thing, I dirtied up the front board a bit, made it look a bit more realistic, and you can see that I've added this sort of, I'm calling it a slide rail for the bucket seat here. But you can't actually move the bucket seat without all this dirt here that has been applied, so it looks a bit weird when you move the bucket seat, but at least it gives the impression that there is one and you could move it around if necessary. So maybe just remove the dirt or something, and then I'll give you the option to slide this backwards and forwards, or maybe even just leave the dirt where it is and pretend that that's where the dirt always goes. But for now I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that's a nice little touch there, makes it look like it's got a sort of mechanism that moves it around. Okay, so with that said, let's get on. We've got some work to do in Blender now before we import this into Unity, so let's do that now. Now on balance, thinking about it, I could have actually done this in Blender before I exported it into Substance Painter, but the reason I didn't do that was I wasn't 100% sure how Substance Painter would handle the different materials. Substance Painter has this, I don't know what you call it, feature that every different material that you export will be a different set of textures. So I didn't want to get involved in any of that nonsense. So I thought I would export the thing as one mesh and then separate it out afterwards. But I don't think you need to do that. You can actually export it now, or do what I'm going to do now before you go into Substance Painter. So slightly confusing, but you'll probably make a bit more sense once I've done it. So all we need to do is we need to export the following things. We need to get these wheels out because we want to be rotating them. We've got the steering wheel here. We definitely want to rotate that. The pedals, they're interesting because we want to rotate them, but also these here probably need to stay in some sort of flat pointing to the sky rotation, so we'll probably separate them out separately or something like that. I'll show you what I'm going to do in a minute, and the back wheels as well will need to be separated out. So let's just tab in, and what we'll do first of all is I'll just start selecting the pieces that we want to separate, and I won't actually name them or anything. I'll just press L, and you can see that hasn't selected everything, that entire UV mesh. So let's just press T, and if we click over here, I think if we press material, there we go, that selects the whole area. Now if I just press P, separate selection, I'll do the same thing. I'll press L, and now everything gets set up. I'll press P, selection, and I'll just start going through. In fact, to be honest with you, the rear wheels could be selected as one. I'm going to do that, so let's just press L there as well, and now I'll press P, selection. So that's been separated. I will select these bars here. Hello. Thank you. Okay, and I will separate them by selection as well. And then I'll do these as well. LP selection. LP selection. And did I do this? I guess I didn't. L. And this as well. L. And we'll separate that. We've got to do a little bit of extra on that. I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about because we need to change its orientation. So P selection. Okay, and I think that's everything. I think these bits here can all stay where they are. They're not going to move, rotate, or anything by the scripts in Unity, so we can keep them as they are. Alright, now so if we now press Tab now, we've got all these different separate objects. Pedals, there you go, right? And so let's start sorting out these. First things first, I'm going to go into this one, and I'm going to make sure that the origin point is currently set the yellow dot there. That's nowhere near where we want it. We want it in between those two. So what I'll do is quickly just press that and select that, and Shift S, cursor to selected, and that will put it bang in the middle. That's exactly where we want it. And now if we tab out and just do Alt Shift Control C, origin to 3D cursor, that'll pop it in the right place. And while we're at it, let's rename it. So that's Wheel front, is it L? Yes, it is L. We'll get around the right way. Front L for left. And let's do the same with this one. Let's just tab into it. Select these two sides here. Let's do Shift S, cursor to select. If you do that, if it wasn't obvious, it picks the middle point between the bits you've got selected. And then tab out, Alt Shift Control C, origin to 3D cursor, and we'll go over here and we'll rename it Wheel Front R for right. And let's do the rear wheels. We'll tab in, and now we want to do something like that one and Shift S. Oh dear. I probably pressed scale, didn't I? Yes, I did. Shift S, cursor to selected. Let's put it in the middle, which probably means. Sorry, let's put it on there. So let's do that now. Shift S, cursor to selected. There we go. And now we can tab out. Alt Shift Control C, origin to 3D cursor. Let's put it there. And what should we call this? Wheel rears. There's two of them. Alright, what else? Working forward then, let's next do these bits here. Again, if we tab in, what I might do is just do Shift H here, just to isolate that area of the object. Tab in, and we want the origin to be right there in the middle there, so that when we rotate it, it kind of rotates these bars here. So let's just do that. Control Tab 2, so I'll select that rim and that rim. Shift S, cursor to selected. Tab out. Alt Shift Control C, origin to 3D cursor. Well, what should we rename this? Pedal bars. No, pedal bars? That doesn't sound right, does it? Pedal. I want to say pedal metal. Pedal. Oh, I don't know. Brackets. No. I'll call them pedal bars. Pedal bars. Apologies if that's wrong. I'll just press Alt H, and then we need to get these ones. Again, tab in. We could probably just do A. Shift S, cursor to selected, and then tab out, Alt Shift Control C, origin to 3D cursor. And what should we call this? Pedal underscore, that's R, isn't it? Okay, and then we'll do the same with this one. Tab in. I don't know if we need to do this cursor to center, but cursor selected. We could just probably do it outside in object mode for these ones. Okay, tab out, Alt Shift Control C, origin to 3D cursor, and rename it to what? Pedal L? Pedal R? Oh, so that other one's wrong, isn't it? Pedal underscore X, yeah, so excuse me, so the pedal R should be pedal L, and pedal X should be pedal R. There we go. And that only leaves the steering wheel, I think. Let's rename this. We've got to do a touch of work on this. Let's just make sure we just do Control A, rotation and scale on everything, and then we'll go to the steering wheel. This is a bit of a weird one. I'm going into side view. Let's quickly tab in and just make sure we've got the cursor, the origin point to the middle of that between there. So cursor selected, tab out, Alt Shift Control C, origin to 3D cursor. That's good. But what we want to do here now is actually rotate this, and the reason we want to do that is because if we don't do rotation now, then the local X, Y and Z will be pointing up and down and left and right. We want the local to, if you see what I mean, be pointing at 20 degrees or whatever that is. I hope that becomes clear when we go into Unity in a minute. So let's just rotate this, and I don't know if I actually gave this a standard rotation, but we want it to be as straight as possible. You can actually get away with a bit here. What angle have I got here? 24. That looks near as damn it straight to me. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And now we'll do Control A, rotation and scale. And you can see that the rotation is now 0, 0, 0. And then what we're going to do is we're going to rotate that back. Rotate it. Was it minus 24, I guess? Press enter. Okay, and you can see up here now it's got this 24 degrees. And so what that's basically saying now is that when we go into Unity, I'm hoping that the local axis will be pointing sort of diagonally downwards. Alright, now we have all of our objects, I believe now, all sorted. So let's just... Is there anything that I've missed here? No, they've all got names, so that's good. So let's just select them all. Start selecting them. So what's the best way of doing it? I'll just select... No, I'll do A. I'll do Z, B, select that lot. I hope it doesn't select the light. It has selected the light. and it hasn't selected the camera. I can see the empty there has been selected, so let's unselect that. Center point. Tempted to move that. Let's move it to 2. Still there. Are we on layer 2? No, we've probably got to press. So we just want to do 1. Sorry about this. Is everything on 2? Oh, Richard. So let's all move everything to 1. Then we'll press 1. And then we'll move that to 2. So it disappears. There we go. Now, if we do B, we've got everything selected that we want selected. I hope. I'm not happy with the way that center point is still showing. There we go. It's interesting. You can still have it selected even when it's in a different view. Right, sorry. Okay, so we've got everything we want selected. Now let's export it out again to an FBX file. Yep, let's do that. So we'll do File, Export, FBX. We could call it Go-Kart V2. Let's call it Go-Kart V2. Yes. That might not be the wisest thing if we wanted to change it in. Yeah, so let's call it V3 or something. Or V2.1. 2_1. Okay, we're clicking on selected objects, which is going to be a lot more than before, and experimental. Okay, and now we'll click Export FBX. Takes a bit of time. And we've done it. Oh, I think that lamp is selected. Look at that. I didn't want you selected, so I'm going to do that again. File, Export FBX. That one. Selected objects, yes. Experimental, yes. Export FBX. Alrighty guys, I think we're there. Now let's go into Unity and get this thing imported and show you how to create the material that's going to make this look absolutely superb in Unity. Let's do that now. Alrighty, so I think for the sake of keeping things honest, I'm going to create a new project. Does that work? There we go. So we'll just call this should we just call this Go-Kart? And create project. Make sure it's clicked. Make sure 3D's clicked. I've been caught out before. 2D's clicked, but let's make sure we click 3D. Okay, click on there. Alrighty, that loaded up. Let's just have a go and have a look at our Blender folder. Now this is in the Blender documents file at the minute, and what I've got into the habit of doing, I think now, is simply copying this into the assets file. I was chopping and changing and keeping the blend files in one place and that in the other. I actually quite kind of like the actually moving everything into Unity. You may disagree. See what you think anyway. So I'm going to go back out here and I'm just going to grab this Go-Kart V2. I'm going to do Control X and I'm going to navigate to my Unity folder, which is under Documents, Unity, and what was it? What you called it just then? Go-Kart Assets, and just do Control V. And if I put back into Unity, magic that it is, it'll start going through it. Shouldn't take long. One slightly annoying thing is it can be hard to find stuff in these folders, but I do like to bring this in now. I find it a little bit easier, and then you've only got one place, and if you edit it in this folder, Unity will automatically update it. So it's the kind of thing we're after. You can see this is a bit messy. I've got my unapplied and my applied and whatever. Anyway, I'll let you decide. This isn't a Unity tutorial. There's different best practices. I don't think this is probably the super best practice, but it's probably one of the easiest. Right, so if I go into my Go-Kart folder, and what I need to do is I need to find my Go-Kart v2.fbx file. And here it is. And let's drag that in. And you can see now, rather than having just no, sorry, it's v2.1, isn't it? Let's be careful, Richard. There we go. There it all is separated out. So let's just drag v2.1 in and press F, and it will zoom in. And the good news about that experimental element is that you can see now that it's no rotation or scale or anything like that's been applied, and it looks absolutely fine. Obviously a bit white at the minute, but we'll sort that out in a second. Now the thing is, if I click down here, you'll start to see that there's a whole bunch of things now. The go-kart itself, which is the main unit, is everything but is everything else, if you like. You got the pedal bars, we know about them, pedal L, pedal R, so on and so on. Let's just change one of those ones. I'm glad I finished on that one. Now, can you see if I just go to X, excuse me, and go to ISO view? Can you see that because I've got it on local here? If I do global, that's obviously X, Y, and Z in the real world. But if I do it here, you can see that it's got the the green arrow, the Y, pointing kind of at an angle. So that's exactly what we were after. So we've done well there. The pedals and so on. One thing I will do with the pedals is if I get the pedal bar there, if I just get these two here, and I'm going to drag them into pedal bars. Yes, I do want to break the prefab. That's absolutely fine. And then now, if I think I can do this. Let's just see if this works. Which way would it be? It'll be rotating on the X. So let's just do that. You'll see now that when I rotate it, it rotates the whole thing around like that. Obviously, the pedals will need to. The pedals now, because they're separate, they can be rotated with the script at some point. But you can see now the whole thing moves kind of as expected. But we'll keep the pedals themselves need to be adjusted, and we'll do that in a script later on. All right, good. That's good. And like I say, this thing here, if I rotate it, it'll do it in world rotation, which is frustrating. But okay, so let's get the texture in. Let's do that now. So let's create a material. Where are we? Create material, and then we can very simply start dragging and dropping these albedo transparencies and what have you. Height in there, metallic smoothness in there, and the normal map in there. And it'll probably complain. Just click fix now. Now what I'd hoped I could do, let's just rename the material as well. Shall we call it Go-Kart material? Go-Kart material. There we go. All right. And what I'd hoped we could do is just drag it in to there, but it won't even let you. That I think is an empty. Well, let's have a little look. Yeah, that's an empty, isn't it? So it's just got a transform. So it's just containing all of the bits. So what we're going to fortunately have to do is drag it into each of these bits here. If there's another way of doing this, then please do let me know. I'm just going to drag it into each of the pedals. I mean, it shouldn't take up any memory given that it's the same material. And we'll just keep going. Steering wheel, and then wheel front left, wheel front right, and wheels rear. There and there. And if I just select something else like you can see we've got ourselves a rather handy looking. Now one thing I did notice before as well, that's interesting, that's not worked as I expected there. That's got some funky shine on it. I'll have a look at that in a minute. I don't know why it's doing that at this present time. Everything else seems fine apart from there. One thing it could be, if I quickly go to the Go-Kart material, if I just lower that, no, hasn't made a huge difference, has it? It's kind of weird, everywhere else is fine apart from that. I did have problems with that in Substance Painter, do you remember? I thought it had been stretched. I'll have to try and work out why it's done that. It's not the end of the world, it doesn't look terrible, just not great. And there we have it. So now what I can do, if I just show you, I've actually already written a rotation script for the steering wheel that rotates it on the local axis. So if I could just quickly go to assets, oh no, there's not in here, it's in my other project. So bear with me, I'll just load that rotation up now. 1 second. Forget that. Let's actually let's just do it. Let's just do it right now. So we'll just create a new folder called scripts, and we will go into scripts and we'll create a new C# script. We'll call this steering wheel rotation. That's overkill because we're probably never going to use this again. But we'll just double click it, and I will now bring up MonoDevelop. I'll just pause it while this is loading. Alright, here we are. So with that being said, we just want to make sure that the transform is rotation. So we just do transform dot rotate, and it's the y-axis, isn't it? So we're going to say 0f comma and what do we want this to be? We'll call this time dot delta time. We'll keep it like that for now, but that'll be very slow. This times rotation speed. We'll set that up now, shall we? And comma 0f. Let's just do that. And what I'll do up here, public float public float rotation speed equals 5f. Let's try 10f. That should make you work. And the other thing here, so this is good, but this will rotate in world space, so Y will be pointing straight up. We don't want that. We want this local space. So we're going to say space dot self. Do Control S. And I'm rather hoping. Let's have a quick look at the console. It's not throwing any errors. Let's quickly adjust the camera so we can see what's going on. So we'll zoom right in, and then we will let's move it up a bit, so like 5 maybe, and we'll angle this down so it's looking at it, and then that's it. So say 25, shall we? 25. I like big whole numbers. And then we'll zoom in like that, and maybe just lower it down a touch like that, and we should be able to just grab our steering wheel rotation and add it to the steering wheel. And now if we click on steering wheel, we've got our rotation here. Let's give this a go and see what happens. Okay, clearly it's not the y-axis we need to be rotating on. I thought it was. Let's spin back around here. No, it's not. It's the Z. You can see this now. Blue is Z. Look, so you can see this is the angle it needs to be rotating on. So let's spin back to our script. What we'll do is we'll just Control X that lot, and then do it there. X and Y normal, and then we'll do it on the Z. Go back here, press play. There we go. And there we've got it. And in fact, what I might actually do is just pause it. That's it. And now I'll just unclick maximize on play. And now you can see it rotating. And that's good news. That's probably the trickiest one of them all. And it's rotating correctly. What we'll do in the next tutorial, which is probably the last one, is start attaching this steering wheel to the wheels here, making them be able to rotate obviously around, and the pedals will get them fixed so that they can point in the right direction, and that will be a go-kart that's kind of, if you like, production ready in many degrees. You unless you've got some weird ghostly game, you're going to want to put an animated human in there that can grip hold of these. The grip hold of the steering wheel, and some sort of excuse me, I'm talking as I think, but you get the I've completely forgotten what it's called, physics, to be able to make this thing roll down a hill. Alright, so thank you for watching this one. Like I say, in the next one we will finish this job off, but I really do appreciate you guys watching this, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.